Good morning. Welcome to the Premium Public Video Forecast discussion for Friday, June 13th, 2025. Boy, it is a busy start to the weekend. We got Friday the 13th, so you got all that stuff going on. Then you also have Father's Day. And happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Really appreciate that. And we also have, unfortunately, more rain on the way for another weekend. I know I'm getting a lot of complaints because some people think I actually control this stuff. I don't. Trust me, if I did, my wedding day would have been sunny, but that's another story. So, look, yes, we're going to be dealing with rain, but I have some good news. As long as you're not heading to the beach, overall, not going to be too bad. Yes, there'll be a few scattered showers, and there'll be a little bit of drizzle, but if you have plans going out, going to a baseball game, going camping, fishing, barbecuing, anything of that nature, or just hanging around the house and just enjoying the day, shouldn't really have too much of a problem. We're not looking at widespread heavy downpours or anything like that. So let's take a look at all the factors. Of course, we'll also touch on the tropics as well. Before we begin, please like, share, and subscribe. It actually helps the channel out quite a bit. And if you would like to have this type of content every day and also have the access to ask me questions whenever you like, just drop me an email. Just join the Premium Consulting membership, only $15 a month. All right, so let's dive in. So when we start with the tropics here, I have some really good news. Nothing is going on. Absolutely nothing. NHC has no activity expected over the next 7 days. We finally have a nice little tropical wave out here, but it is running into shear and also a lot of dry air from the Sahara Desert. So not really expecting much in the way of activity at all. And overall, it's pretty quiet out there. A lot of shear over the Caribbean and over the Central Atlantic. Western Atlantic has a lot of dust and dry air. Gulf of Mexico is dealing with a trough, so that's cold core. That's not going to lead to anything. And of course, there's a lot of dry air over the Central Tropical Atlantic as well. When we take a look at the model guidance, we may have to watch out for something right around Central America, but even that is not really well forecasted at this point. Not really showing any type of strong development, but somewhere between right around here, the Yucatan Peninsula, Central America, maybe the Bay of Campeche, you could spawn a weak low pressure system, weak warm core low pressure system. We're saying that because we're seeing an increase in precipitable water values pushing up into these levels. So there's something trying to bubble, but there's a question or not whether it's actually going to form in the Eastern Pacific or right on the Central American coast. Either way, not really showing anything significant just yet, and nothing is expected over the next 7 days, so we're going beyond that point. Otherwise, going all the way out to 15 days. Of course, you don't take this verbatim, but there is literally no signals out there going all the way to the end of June of no sign of any organized tropical low pressure system. So, of course, we'll keep an eye on it, but so far, so good. Very quiet out there. Now, our weather pattern overall is going to be starting to change, though. And what we're going to see is more and more strength from our upper level ridge to the south and east of us. Yes, the Bermuda High. And that means an increase in humidity, but we're still going to be battling polar air masses. So what is going on here? Well, we've been talking about this all week in the premium section, and essentially what's happening, I'm not going to get into the full weeds of the details like I have been for most of this week, but essentially on both the operational and on the ensemble's guidance, you get this persistent trough around the Gulf of Alaska to the Aleutians, and that will linger on in through the rest of June. While that's occurring, you get a trough sustained over eastern Canada. Notice I'm not saying eastern United States, eastern Canada. Remember, the polar jet stream is retracted further north. As a balance, the western Atlantic ridge expands and the heights start to rise. So we're starting to see different forcing mechanisms starting to take hold over North America, and really over North America and the Atlantic, that is going to support an expansion of the 500 millibar ridge, which is typical for this time of year, but it's going to be enhanced a little bit. So what that means for us, Well, we're kind of on the borderline. We're on the battle zone of this evolution. You can see that with our 850 millibar temperatures over the next 15 days. Notice we're on the warm side of that boundary, but overall, we are still in the battle zone between the polar air mass locked up over Canada and the tropical air mass that is building to our south. So we're kind of in between. So what typically happens here is that we have these cold fronts that drop through. A lot of them are weak. A lot of them barely produce a change in temperatures, and really just a focal point for moisture. And that is essentially what we're seeing over the next 15 days. So what that typically produces is a lot of unsettled weather. Temperatures jumping up into the 80s and 90s and knocked back down to the 70s. Constant threat for scattered showers and thunderstorms, and not a lot of sunny days. However, as the upper level ridge over eastern North America and over the western Atlantic expands and strengthens, these cold fronts that drop south are going to lose more and more punch. So as a result, they'll tend to become stationary. And while there will be a potential for thunderstorms, we're going to be more and more on the warm and humid side of this battle zone. And so what that means is precipitation for the rest of June and most likely into July will average near to above normal. Near normal, where you get an occasional shower or thunderstorm. Above normal, if you get stuck in one of these thunderstorms that tends to be slow moving, that could pile up quite a bit of rain in your location. The hard part is trying to dictate or trying to forecast where that's going to happen because of the convective nature of the precipitation. So we're going to have to watch to see how that evolves. And as far as our temperatures, our low temperatures, I think, will average above normal quite a few times. And that's going to push our overall average. Our high temperatures are going to be generally near normal and then starting to push slightly above normal as we head towards the end of the month, but not anything excessive. I don't see anything like a 95 to 100 type range. And if you start seeing that in your phone app, just remember that there's usually a pretty significant error. So typically what I do is take about 15% off that temperature. And that usually gives you a pretty good range of where you should be as you move forward. So certainly a lot of activity. But what about this weekend? Well, here's our stationary front. Not really moving all that much. Now that it has dropped through, produced an isolated thunderstorm over eastern Pennsylvania last night, and then it died over western New Jersey. Other than that, it's been pretty quiet with increasing cloud cover. Notice our winds are from the east. This is a very important observation. This tells me that we're transporting a maritime air mass at the surface. So this kills off your potential for any type of severe thunderstorms or anything like that. It does not kill off the potential, though, for heavy rainfall, or at least heavy downpours. So this observation just right off the bat tells me, okay, stable environment, okay, but also plenty of low clouds. So you end up with increasing cloud cover around the region, and you have temperatures right now in the mid 60s over the northern interior, upper 60s to lower 70s in your suburbs, mid 70s on the I-95 corridor. And by the way, you might be noticing I'm kind of changing the naming of the regions I'm forecasting for, especially in the text discussions. That's because we're seeing a focus of our hottest temperatures basically from Philadelphia to New York City, so I-95 corridor. And then the coastal plain and Long Island are separate. So what this leads to, when we take a look at our weather tap, radar, and surface map, is development of showers, but not anything that is widespread. Not anything that would lead to a whole day full of rain. Scattered showers starting to develop, low clouds, drizzle, but workable if you're going to be outside at all. And overall, I mean, the temperatures won't be incredibly cool. We're talking about some 60s, some 70s. Yeah, I know it's not summer-like, but it's not uncomfortable either. So what is driving all this? Well, first of all, I just want to show you the amount of moisture that's down here. This is the precipitable water values. And when you start getting above 1.5, that's awfully juicy. And when you get above 2 inches, that opens up some interesting potential for some very heavy downpours with these showers if they're able to get tapped in. So here's the moisture source. And then here is the transport. Again, this is at 850 millibars. This is our Western Atlantic Ridge. Here's our weakness. Here's an air trough that's starting to organize. And you can see the transport getting ready to drive that deep moisture northward. But also notice the northwesterly wind here over New England. So there's going to be a cap here. This moisture can only surge as far north as allowed. So basically get to about New York City. So north of New York City, you would see a decrease in the amount of moisture that can be transported. New York City, probably about 1.5. And then to the south, that's where I think we're going to see around our 2-inch precipitable water values, and thus the highest potential for heavy downpours. When we take a look at our upper level winds here, 250 millibars, this is our polar jet stream, this is our subtropical jet stream, here's our ridge, here's our trough over eastern Canada. In between these, you get this little short wave here that is pretty vigorous in the subtropical jet stream, producing severe thunderstorms over the southern plains and the Mississippi River Valley. But this is like a rock going in between two crushers, right? So when you have this confluence here, that's what this coming together, the winds here, that causes this to weaken. So as it approaches, it weakens. Meanwhile, we have a stationary boundary. Combination of the two leads to disorganized lifting, overcast cloud cover, and pesky showers. But again, I don't see a widespread rainfall event in this scenario. On the water vapor satellite picture, you can see plenty of moisture to work with. And you can see our forcing mechanism all evolving here with our ridge. Here's our trough and our upper level low getting ready to weaken. Here's our other upper level trough over New England. Should I say over eastern Canada and the Canadian Maritimes. So we know we have plenty of moisture. And notice the lifting here. Pretty strong here, right? But also starting to weaken as it moves east. Here is disorganized and broken. Not a lot of cold cloud tops, and those that are present are kind of broken and not really well supported. You're not seeing any type of growth. It's more of just kind of meandering, right? So we're not really seeing a lot in terms of growth of lifting here. Lifting is generally weak. So on our visible satellite picture, you can see the clouds increasing. The low clouds are going to start to grow. You can start to see some of those down here. And this up here, these are all the mid-level clouds from the moisture transport at the mid-levels. So the lower levels is coming in from the Atlantic. The mid-levels are coming in from the Gulf Coast and from the Bahamas. So combination of different transports of moisture. Plenty of increase in cloud cover. Sun clouds today, a few isolated showers today. Today's not too bad. Tonight, higher threat for showers. And then the weekend, well, it just kind of goes downhill. So why is that the case? Well, first of all, our upper level winds here are, well, relatively weak over the next 90 hours. This goes all the way to Monday. So not very strong jet stream. Okay, what about mid-levels? Not really strong there either. Why am I showing you this? Well, the winds are going to be weak. And that means when you get showers developing, they're going to be slow to move. So this opens up the potential here for possibly a few showers lingering in some locations and the potential for some heavier downpours as a result. So I do have in the forecast for a lot of the clients I have, for the business clients I have, possibly pushing up to a ½ inch tomorrow. Because if you get a shower to linger, and with the winds being so weak, it can linger quite a bit, and it could push your rainfall amounts up to 0.2 of an inch, 0.3 of an inch, a ½ an inch. With that, many locations will not experience that. They'll have a shower pop up, it'll move, it'll weaken, some drizzle, that's about it. But this opens up the potential for that heavier downpour. Again, at 500 millibars, the lifting is not really all that organized. And notice our mid-level low, look at the subtropical low over the Mississippi River Valley. You see how it just kind of collapses as it approaches? That's because of that convergence and confluence that's set up between the two jet streams. So again, a lot of weak lifting here. Same thing at the mid-levels. Disorganized lifting, but plenty of moisture to work with. Look at that, pushing up to 2.25 inches here down towards southern New Jersey. That's a lot of moisture to work with. So again, this opens up the potential for heavier downpours, but not widespread. So you have the moisture, you don't really have any organized lifting. Meanwhile, our temperatures, well, they're not going to really move all that much. We have that boundary just kind of sitting around the region, keeping us unsettled. The maritime air mass trying to push south, the tropical air mass trying to push north at the mid levels. And so that's where you get your stable, moisture loaded weather pattern. And again, if anyone's concerned about thunderstorms, well, Cape values are almost going to be non existent this weekend into Monday. So again, this is not a thunderstorm threat. This is more of a pesky shower type threat. So through today, pretty quiet. Just an isolated shower here and there. Continuing on through tonight. So if you have plans for tonight, not a problem. But you can see the showers growing towards midnight. And then as we head towards Saturday, those showers will pass through the region with some heavier downpours here and there. But overall, you could work with it. When the showers move through, they clear out. Again, this is not the best weekend for the beach, that is for sure. You have plenty of cloudy skies, a lot of drizzle. Unfortunately, it is what it is. So let's dive into the rest of this forecast for today. Look for increasing clouds, isolated showers developing. Look for high temperatures in the mid to upper 70s on Long Island, upper 70s to lower 80s along the coast, mid to upper 80s around the I-95 corridor, and upper 70s to lower 80s over the northern interior. For tonight into tomorrow morning, look for increasing showers, some drizzle, cloudy skies. Low temperatures will range from the upper 50s to lower 60s over the northern interior, lower to mid 60s along the coast. For tomorrow afternoon, look for overcast cloud cover, scattered showers, high temperatures in the mid to upper 60s on Long Island, upper 60s to lower 70s along the coast, and lower to mid 70s everywhere else. On Sunday, rinse and repeat, stationary front, wave of low pressure, scattered showers, overcast cloud cover, drizzle. Again, not the best weather conditions for outdoor activities, but you can get by. Certainly not beach weather, with low temperatures in the upper 50s to lower 60s and high temperatures ranging from the lower to mid 60s throughout the region with a stiff northeasterly wind. Again, not exactly beach weather. For Monday, an area of low pressure passes to our south along the stationary front with scattered showers a threat. Look for low temperatures in the mid to upper 50s in the suburbs and over the interior, upper 50s to lower 60s in your urban areas. High temperatures will range from the upper 60s to lower 70s throughout the region. On Tuesday, a trough will pass through the region with a few isolated showers, a little bit more humidity, a little bit warmer, with low temperatures in the lower to mid 60s, high temperatures in the lower to mid 70s along the coast and over the interior, mid to upper 70s on the I-95 corridor. On Wednesday, another cold front will approach the region with scattered cloud cover and a few isolated showers. Look for low temperatures in the lower to mid 60s. High temperatures will range from the lower to mid 70s on Long Island, upper 70s to lower 80s along the coast, mid 80s on the I-95 corridor, and upper 70s to lower 80s over the interior. On Thursday, scattered cloud cover can be expected with a cold front stall to our north and west, and that's going to lead to scattered cloud cover with a few widely scattered showers. Look for low temperatures to range from the upper 60s over the interior and in your suburbs, lower to mid 70s in your urban areas. High temperatures will range from the upper 70s to lower 80s on Long Island, mid to upper 80s along the rest of the coast, upper 80s to lower 90s on the I-95 corridor, and mid to upper 80s over the northern interior. And on Friday, a cold front and an area of low pressure will move through with scattered showers and thunderstorms. This is going to be from Thursday night into Friday morning, and then Friday afternoon, more widely scattered showers with low temperatures in the upper 60s to lower 70s over the northern interior, lower to mid 70s along the coast, and high temperatures ranging from the mid to upper 70s over the northern interior, lower to mid 80s along the coast. That's your forecast discussion for today. Have a wonderful day, and as always, stay safe out there.